Over 6 months ago now, I started building my very own custom theme park in Planet Coaster 2, in which I would try my best to build themed areas with loads of different rides, roller coasters, even some just walk-through bits and random things, to even a water park and so much more. But more recently, I have now built the tallest and fastest roller coaster in the theme park, and I'm currently building an entire Egyptian themed area around it. And in this episode today, we're actually finishing that area off, and I even build a brand new dark ride which has been curated from a lot of your guys' suggestions. So be sure to watch till the end, because there's going to be a full POV with audio and music and everything, and I'm going to do a full tour of the area, including giving names to all the rides. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel as well. There's so much more content to come in the future, including content a lot like this and even more. So yes, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss that, and so you don't miss future Isle of Discovery episodes, because yes, welcome back to the series. And welcome to episode 25. Yes, once again, I'm going to say how unbelievable it is that we have come this far in this series. 6 months ago, around that, we started this series building the Greek-themed area, the entrance, and now, that's 6 months later, we're here building Egypt. As you can see on your screen, I need to actually talk about what's going on because it's flying by. This area was meant for a dark ride. I spoke about this last time and a few times previous, because in the park we only have 2 dark rides, and one of which is just a flat ride indoors, and the other is literally, it doesn't work as a proper ride for guests, but you can still see it run. So I needed to make a proper dark ride. And you may be looking at this right now and thinking, you're literally building a log flume, how is this a dark ride? Well, here in the UK, a lot of you might know, we have a very famous water ride called Valhalla at Blackpool Pleasure Beach, or Pleasure Beach Lancashire, or Pleasure Beach Resort, whichever one it is nowadays. And that ride is an indoor boat ride, and you get soaked on it. But the experience when it all works is amazing. You've got all these fire effects and like all this like animatronic movement around you, all the lighting and everything. They recently redid it as well. It's an amazing ride, one of the best in the world, and it's very much renowned to be the best in the world. So upon riding it the other week, and also, well, seeing your guys' comments as well, when I did say I want a proper dark ride, what shall I do, if anyone's got any ideas, a main suggestion was a sort of River Nile boat ride that's indoors. And I've had a lot of people suggest something like Valhalla, which then after riding it in person and actually seeing all the effects again and really enjoying it, as I always do when I go on it, I just thought I had to make some sort of Valhalla ride, or just a log flume indoors that gets you maybe not as soaked, because you genuinely, you can't avoid getting wet on that ride at all. I thought I'd make a version of it in the game right here. A little bit more technical, this one as well, and especially because we already have a log flume in the park, I needed to make this different in some sort of way. The log flume we have in the Viking area, Njord's Fjord, that has a single person per row, that sort of log flume boat, like the typical one. This is more like your Splash Mountain boat. I might decorate it a bit as well to make it look like some sort of Egyptian boat, I don't know. That would be quite cool to see. But at the same time, to make it different, there are also these turntables, which you do see on the other log flume we have here, but also that vertical lift towards the end. I think that's the main thing that puts this ride apart from that log flume, is not only the boats, but that vertical lift. It's pretty cool, and the sort of set that I've made in there does look pretty cool as well, if I do say so myself. But as you can see, the queue line's going in already. The main work we're going to be doing in this episode is purely the work on the inside, trying to make that storyline work, trying to theme it all up. And of course, I want to put the animatronics in and stuff like that. But there's not really an Egyptian themed pack yet, which in the old game's case would have been the adventure pack, which would have been amazing, would have been perfect for this. So please, Planet Coaster, don't now add the adventure pack, because I'll be sad. But that would have been perfect for this. But we don't have that, so I've had to make do with a few things. The main villain, per se, inside the actual ride is a Medusa animatronic, which I know is a Greek mythology thing, so that doesn't really make sense. But we're going to sort of say that it's a pharaoh or something, you know? We're just going to have to make do like that. And I would make my own pharaohs, but then again, we're going to go back to the point that I mentioned last episode, the problems I've been having with the amount of pieces in this park. I have seemed to have solved it, which I'll talk about in just a bit, as I colour the actual trough and the boat right there. And I just want to keep the piece count as low as possible, which is why there might be a few dark rooms in here. Well, there you go. There's the warehouse right around it. You don't actually pass through that wall on the top bit. I do get rid of that eventually. But you can see how that's starting to look on the skyline. It looks really bad right now. Just really out of place. I'm really liking the 3 pyramids. I'm so glad I went for 3 and not just 2. And here's the theming going in for that wall now. The whole point of this, as I said, is there's some sort of pharaoh inside who's quote-unquote the villain. And you go into this temple through this boat ride. It could be based on the River Nile. It might not be. There's a lot of scaffolding around the outside as well. So again, more renovations going on, much like the pyramids have in the same area. But you go in and there is this curse that has been put on the temple that you're about to discover via going in. And there's a scroll that this guy holds. And that, if you chant what's on the scroll, it defeats the curse. So you see that scroll right at the start of the ride, which I'll get onto, and I'll literally build that in a few minutes. And then it sort of disappears and everything goes a bit wrong. You meet the evil pharaoh, per se. And then, well, there's actually Medusa in this because there's not an animatronic pharaoh. But you meet that. You turn around and you do all these things. You go backwards. There's loads of red lighting, blue lighting of like statues and everything underground. And it's just it's quite a dark storyline, I feel, because there's a lot of fire, which you'll see later on when I do POV this. It's going to be the first POV on this series that I'm not talking over, because I'm actually going to put some like audio and stuff over it, because I've done a bit of work on that. So that'll be really cool. But there's a whole storyline that comes with it. It's about a curse. What theme park doesn't have a ride that is themed to a curse? I think every single theme park does. That storyline is embedded throughout the entire attraction, and you're going to see that in the POV and throughout me building the first portion of it. So I'm not going to show you the entire process of building it, because a lot of it is just walls and dark rooms, but I am going to show you the entire start process when we do begin those first few scenes. Let's talk about a few things then. Well, last time, of course, there was a few problems, but I'll get onto that. I do want to mention quickly, before I talk about that, the amount of Planet Coaster there's been recently. I know my previous video, if you are an avid viewer of this channel, which thank you very much for if you are, subscribe if you're not. My last video was actually a Universal Great Britain Planet Coaster recreation, which I'm working on, and I'm really happy to say that that is going really well. And as you may have seen in that video, if you haven't watched it, then go and watch it. But we're now going to be able to focus on the rides in the park. We're not just going to be building buildings, because I know a lot of you are bored of that by now. So am I. Let's go on to some rides with that. But a lot more content will be coming out very soon. You've got Paulton's Park that are going to be announcing something tomorrow when this goes out. You've also got Ghostly Manor's opening, which will be the exact same day, so there'll be 2 vlogs of that. At the same time, got so much stuff. I'm climbing a roller coaster next week. There's field episodes coming back. Like, there's so much to look forward to on the channel. So if you have seen a lot of Planet Coaster recently, there will be the same amount of Planet Coaster, but more other videos to go with. I'm just sort of chilling out a little bit this week, you know. Working on this has been quite a tough job because of how much there has been to work on. Once again, this is a passion project of mine, so I'm not going to rush it, like I've been saying multiple times throughout the series. If I don't have the time to actually make something, I probably wouldn't release an episode that week. So yeah, I've been focusing a lot on this project, and it's good to see it coming together. And there's going to be so much more content, as said, including some visits to some parks abroad that I haven't been to for a very long time, with new rides and everything to try out. So yeah, very excited for all of that. But here we go then. The inside is beginning on this. And you may be thinking, you complained about the fact that there's too many pieces in the park last time, and now you're building a dark ride. Why are you doing this to yourself? Well, first of all, as I've said, the dark ride is mainly because we don't have many dark rides in the park. And second of all, the problems that I spoke about last time, I had a few people comment and say like some tips and tricks on how to help my sort of lag, and if I needed to, I don't know, look into my actual computer and see if there's anything not running properly and maybe upgrade my computer. I am very tempted to upgrade my PC, to be honest. It's not the best PC in the world, and I probably do need a better one going forward, so that may happen anyway. But I looked into a few of the things in like the BIOS and all the actual management of my computer, and there was a few things that weren't running properly and were either running on like a lower throughput, I don't know what they call it, but it wasn't running to its full potential. So now it should be running better. I've turned down like 1 or 2 settings in the game, and the frame rate is not bad at all. So I genuinely do think if it continues like this, the last episode is still valid, because who knows if these problems are just for now. Maybe they'll come back. They might just disappear for a little bit and then think, no, you're not building another area. So when we build the Wild West, we might then realise them again, and then it'll be the end, which will be really sad. But I think the Wild West is good to go, hence why this isn't called the last episode, which is amazing, because I was really worried that this would be the final episode and we wouldn't be able to build the Wild West. But now, due to all of the tips and tricks I've seen and sort of working out my computer, which again, thank you so much to the people that did try and help, I think we're good to go for the Wild West. But still, everything I said in the previous episode, and I've just said, don't forget about that, because it might come back to bite us later on. But we'll see. Fingers crossed not. But yeah, as you can see though, the scroll has gone in above that lift hill. The scroll that I spoke about, having that chant that lifts the curse in this ride. You're going to see that a couple times throughout this entire ride experience. They're putting some lighting in, which is the best thing about this, because it's a controlled environment inside. If we had this as an outdoor water ride, you couldn't really get all of these different scenes to look correct, and the story wouldn't make sense in the daytime because it'd be too light and it would just look a bit like, why are we being so evil in daylight? This is really stupid. But no, in the dark, when you're inside a warehouse like this, you can just control it as much as you want, which is why all of the buildings and all of the walls and stuff look a lot better, because you can't see them. Some of the walls genuinely are just flat walls with nothing on them, no theming whatsoever, and just because they're dark, it looks so much better. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of that. The smoke that you could have seen me putting in just there as we cut to fire briefly, the smoke that is in front of them, I have realised is quite a nice effect. Obviously you can make the lights themselves fade in from black and then fade out again, but there is a lot of effort to that. It's not too much, obviously, when you can just place some smoke in front of it, which looks very dark in the dark, and then have that smoke fade away as you approach, and you'll just see this light come up from behind the shadows. I think it looks so much better, because instead of fading in the entire light, it fades in like I don't even know how to explain it. In stages it fades in, but again, you'll see all of it later. I'm doing it with the fire there as well, as we turn it back to day and focus on some of the other things here. When you do ascend that lift hill, you are going to enter into a sort of restoration area, and that will then have a sign that says do not enter, which is where you enter the Pharaoh's sort of crypt area, if you want to call it that. I guess that works. But you'll go through there, it'll say do not enter, and then yeah, that's what you'll turntable round in before you head down backwards down a huge drop. And then there'll be some like red lighting down there, some blue lighting as well. We'll go into all of that later down the line. One thing I will say, do not expect the best dark ride in the world with this. As a builder in this game anyway, I do not build anywhere near as good as some people, which I try my best to build in this game. Indoor rides are not my thing. I've said this multiple times before, but when it comes to dark rides, the reason there hasn't been many in some cases is because I do not build them too well, and I don't want to build like awful rides in a park that I'm really trying my best in, you know what I mean? So I've always wanted to keep it to those coasters. So this won't be the best thing you've ever seen in the world, and I do apologise for that. But I'm more of a coaster builder. Although the Mack Hyper in this area, I don't know why, but building like massive hyper coasters, literally whenever I build them in this game or the previous one or any other game that is a roller coaster builder, I would just get past the first few elements that are really flowy and really nice, and then because it's just got too much speed but you don't have enough space, you then start like compacting it all together, and sometimes it can look a bit odd. I think I've done quite well with the hyper coaster in the Egyptian theme land. I think it's a decent job, I guess, but comparing to some of the things people do make in this game, it's nowhere near the best. So we'll just have to deal with it. It's the Isle of Discovery standard, you see. But I'm putting myself down a lot. Let's talk about this ride and the sort of area that's being built right now. This is that crypt bit that I spoke about, where the Pharaoh does go a bit mental above your head, and you do start spinning round. There's some lighting effects in there, some strobes. It just looks really nice when you go in there at night. I mean, Obviously, the game now has indoor sections being dark. I mean, I can't believe we had to deal for so many years with Planet Coaster 1 not having dark indoor spaces. That is criminal. But obviously, with that now, you don't have to turn it to night whenever you go inside a dark ride, which is great. But at the same time, light can sometimes seep through, despite the fact I have literally embedded this entire place with 2 layers of the roof. Of course, all these walls around, there are no gaps whatsoever. But even when you just enter in through the building, I think the game takes a little while to catch up and actually make it a bit darker in there. So I'm still going to turn it to night whenever I POV this thing, which you'll see later on in this video. We're actually getting more towards the real-time section because currently, well, at this minute, I sort of thought, I don't really want to show everything that I'm making because first of all, we'll be here for an hour and I can't yap for an hour straight. And second of all, I want to keep it a little bit of a secret, you know, until we actually go on it later in the episode. So you're not going to see all of it, but there you go. There's those first couple scenes. And we're going outside the building. At first, this was actually going to be a section much like towards the end, before that final drop, where you can actually see outside and actually get a bit of fresh air before you dive down, but this section didn't really make sense for that. I feel like the storyline is more so you've just been cursed, or you're now in the temple that's cursed. Why on earth would you then be outside? It makes no sense, so I actually end up covering this up and making it still looks pretty similar to it, but it's got loads of red lighting on the inside now, and it looks quite cool, so that's one thing that I've worked on since. But yeah, there's an overview of the actual ride so far. This time lapse goes so quickly, I could start talking about one point of it and then it just cuts to the next. But yeah, there's so much going on, so much to work on, and so much to look at in this entire area. Not just on this log flume, but on the area. Because now we're going to go into real time and check out the Egyptian themed land. Welcome back. You join me here in an undisclosed area of the park. Of course, over this way, if we walk out from where the Egyptian themed area is, you would make your way back to Lantasia, the Chinese themed area, or you could go off to the Wild West. But we are walking towards the Egyptian themed area as the family coaster goes right above us, and we've got all the different rides going here in this land. Look at this. That viewpoint in general is just fantastic. With the family coaster literally right beside you on the left, the massive hyper coaster in the background running, and then all the pyramids, and of course the claw ride as well. Oh, lag spike, what a surprise. And over there behind it in the distance is the water ride, but we'll get onto that last, because first of all, we need to talk about the fact that as much as it is complete, it's also not. Yes, the area is not fully complete yet, and I'm doing what I do with most areas I build in this game, and leaving the side that is going to back on to the next area for future reference, so I can actually work out a way to blend them. And again, it probably will just be trees, but with how the Wild West may begin, if it is some sort of saloon buildings around here or something, then there is obviously going to be that issue of sightlines, so I need to make sure that I have sorted that once I build this side of the Wild West. Just think of it as finished, because technically it is. But yeah, this view of the Mack Hyper Coaster does not get old. Look at it, coming out the station, you can see it running in the background, going over those huge elements. And then, of course, you've got the pyramids around it. I absolutely love this viewpoint. I don't think this could have been any better. But yeah, for now, the main area is done. And I think we're going to take a ride on Sands of Time, the family coaster. That is the name for it. And that was suggested by the Bristol City lads. So thank you very much for that name. I think it's quite a fun name, you know. It's not too serious. It's just got a nice, quick name to it. As we take our first ride on it, we come straight out of the station, hitch a left and then a right. And then we go into that first launch. It's quite a slow pickup to that launch. And then we go into this. See, look at the lag. Occasionally it'll do this. It'll just lag spike like that. Look at it go. Wow. Then we go round. If you want to see a proper POV that's not this laggy, then it'll be on my second channel eventually. Oh my word. There we go. Helixing down. Then we come up into a nice little airtime hill. Curving round. It's just a nice flowy ride, you know, nothing major, through the trees. Then we go into another launch. Again, not too quick, much lag as well. This bit will have loads of theming and stuff eventually. I just need to obviously work out the Wild West, because right now it just looks like a wasteland. Helixing down, and then into the brake run. The funny thing is with the lag spikes though, is they haven't happened at all recently until I decide to record this video. Now, a ride we don't have to ride, because of course it is literally just a claw swinging ride and you know what it does, is the flat ride over here, the Scales of Anubis. That was suggested by Coasters Are Cool, and I thought that was actually a very cool name. And I made this entrance a little bit similar to the other one, just a very simple entrance sign, but this one actually has like a nice little animatronic thing that swings back and forth, just to sort of show you what it does if you can't see it already. But yeah, so far, as always, the names are amazing. And if you literally perform a 180-degree spin, you'll see a bit of the hypercoaster, the station, the queue line, and the entrance for Rise of Ra. Yes, I've decided on that name. Went through a few different names, such as like Icarus or Exodus and stuff, but that was just way too similar to Hyperia. Rise of Ra sounded great, and that was suggested by Welsh Boy Mason, Shardless XD, and Nella Allsop. So thank you for that name. I really do like that. And here we go then, curving out of the station. You'll see loads of people down there watching the ride go past. And then we head up the lift hill, which is a very tall lift hill, as you'll see. Look how big that lift hill is. You can see the pyramids off to the left. You can see the ride going around in the background. But here we go then. Down that first drop. Whoa, look at that. What a drop that would be in real life. And then you go up. This is a very Hyperion-esque element, I actually thought. And you go down. See, that warehouse building looks a bit meh, but what can you do? Lovely lag spike. Round into the outer bank. What an inversion. Thank you, Hyperia. And you go down into a massive airtime hill there. And then we turn around into... This is the newly profiled section since the last POV. I think that has way more ejector on it, so that's really good. The 0G stall under that structure. I love that. And then we go into that very snappy transition there, which follows up with 2 airtime hills-ish. I guess this is an airtime hill, not really. Maybe, I don't know. Down from the mid-course, you can see the family coaster there. We've already interacted with that in this ride so far. Nice outer bank. And then we go around. See, there's been no lag spikes since that one off the drop. Nice S-bends. And then we go into the final few elements on the ride. Big airtime hill, followed by a double down, which that airtime hill counted for. This very snappy bit here, which is very intimate. And then into the brake run after that final airtime hill. You know what? Whenever I think about this coaster, I always think I could have extracted more out of it, but I actually do really like that layout. And also the theming, other than maybe this side of the warehouse, was actually pretty decent, so I'll take that. When you exit off this ride, you do end up quite far from the entrance over in this location, so then if you walk straight past the ride and its entrance again, you can then come down here to this plaza area, and of course more work is going to go on here once I get that Wild West bit sorted. But to your left you have this amazing temple building, which is home to a very well themed water ride. Even I don't know what to call it, whether it's a water ride or dark ride, but yeah, there you go. Up there's a little bit of the ride coming out of the building, some waterfalls crashing down, a bit of the fire. There's some hints to the actual story inside, with the scaffolding representing that restoration, and obviously like the broken building with the waterfalls even up there as well. And then you've got the queue line and area. Of course, this ride does need a name, so if you can think of a name to do with that storyline that you're about to see and that I've explained already, then please leave it below. I'd love to see your suggestions, because yeah, for the first time ever, I am now going to leave you to enjoy the POV of this water ride. I think it's a lot better actually hearing the sound effects and the music than me talking over it. So yes, thank you for watching, subscribe if you haven't already, and enjoy this boat ride.